The difference between content that looks amateur and content that looks professional often comes down to planning. When you see those really polished Instagram reels or TikToks that look like they're coming straight out of a movie or a polished ad, it's because someone planned the shots before they created them. And this is especially important when you're working with AI. You can't just type, "create a video for my brand," and expect magic. You need to know exactly what shots you want, what angles work for your content, how the camera should move, and how everything comes together to tell a story. By the end of this module, you'll know how to create a storyboard, which is basically your blueprint for any piece of content, and you'll understand how to structure your content so it actually tells a compelling story. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a storyboard, and why do you need one? A storyboard is essentially a visual plan for your content. It's like a comic book version of your video or carousel before you create it. Each frame or panel shows what the shot will look like, the angle, the composition, what's in the frame, and what's happening. Storyboards in filmmaking can be incredibly detailed with lighting notes, camera movements, dialogue, and timing. Of course, we're keeping it simpler because we're creating social media content, not movies. Our storyboards focus on the essentials, what needs to be in each shot, and how those shots connect to tell your story. Here's what happens without a storyboard. You sit down to create content and start generating AI images or recording footage without a clear plan. You end up with a bunch of random shots that don't flow together. You realize you're missing key shots. You have to go back and create more content. It takes twice as long, and the final result still feels disjointed. With a storyboard, you know exactly what you need before you start creating. You can see if your content flows logically. You can identify gaps before they become problems. And when you're generating AI content, you have clear prompts because you've already visualized what you want. Your storyboard doesn't need to be fancy. In fact, simple is better. Each shot in your storyboard should include several key elements that help you plan and execute your content effectively. Start with what's actually in the frame. Usually, you would draw simple figures and boxes. In our case, we work in 2 stages. First, we write descriptions like, "A woman stands on a quiet city street, leaning casually against a marble-clad building," which serve as a foundation for our prompt. In the second stage, we add the generated imagery before creating the video. These descriptions become your roadmap for AI generation. For the shot types, identify whether it's an AI-generated shot or actual camera footage. Determine if it's a wide shot showing the whole scene or a close-up focusing on details. Consider your A-roll to B-roll ratio and what insert shots might be needed to make your storyline understandable. Decide on the camera angle, so where and how the camera is positioned. Are we looking straight on, from above, from below? Each angle evokes different feelings, as you learned previously. The angle you choose shapes how the audience perceives the subject and moment. For the camera movement, define how the camera behaves. Is it going to pan, zoom, or arc? Or is it completely standing still? Movement adds energy and guides attention, while stillness creates stability and allows the subject to command focus. For the duration, define how long each shot lasts. If it's an A-roll documentary shot, it's probably a longer scene than a B-roll insert shot showing part of the production process or material. Duration affects pacing and determines how much information each shot can communicate. Plan your transitions, so how each shot connects to the next one. Does it cut directly? Does something move or change to bridge the transition? These decisions affect the flow and rhythm of your final piece. You don't need all of this information for every shot, but considering these elements helps you create better content from the beginning. Some shots are straightforward and need minimal planning. Others are complex and benefit from detailed storyboarding. Now let's look at how storyboards adapt to each content format. The approach changes depending on what you're creating, but the underlying principle remains the same. Plan before you create. For short-form video, storyboards show a sequence of frames displaying each shot in order. Depending on your video length, this might be 5 to 15 different shots. You're planning the flow from start to finish, how each moment connects to create a cohesive narrative or message. Carousels require a different approach. Each of the 5 to 10 slides tells part of a complete story or shares information in sequence. Every slide needs to make sense on its own while flowing naturally to the next. The storyboard helps you see if the progression works, and if any slide feels out of place. Even single image posts benefit from planning. What's in the shot? How is it composed? What feeling does it convey? A simple storyboard, even just written notes, ensures you create with intention rather than hoping something works. For YouTube videos, especially longer content, storyboarding every single shot becomes impractical. Instead, focus on key moments or scene changes, the major beats and transitions that structure your video. You're creating a roadmap of important moments rather than documenting every second. The complexity of your storyboard should match the complexity of your content. A 15-second reel might need detailed shot-by-shot planning. A 20-minute YouTube video might only need scene-level planning with key moments highlighted. The complexity of your storyboard should match the complexity of your content. Don't overthink it. The goal is to have a clear plan, not to create a masterpiece sketch.